Hi, it's me, Vicky Marie, and today I'm going to talk about what I think is the absolute key crux. Everything else should revolve around in the Nicola Bulley case, the welfare check on the 10th of January. Whatever happened to Nicola Bulley, whether you take the official narrative that it was accidental death, if you think maybe she deleted herself, if you think it was foul play, to me, everything revolves around this welfare check. And not only the welfare check, but the next day, the fact that Nikki, had to go to the A&E to check out a head injury, and all the mystery that surrounds both these things, and the fact that neither of them were mentioned. Well, the welfare check was mentioned at the inquest, but the actual A&E visit the following day was never brought up at the inquest, or not as far as anything I saw. Anybody knows any different, they can let me know. So that's basically, I had an email from Mickey, who, not an email personally directed at me, but she did a little look at the welfare check. And, it's, I think it's, I'm going to show some of her blog, because mainly because some of the interviews she's got on there I think are quite relevant, and the comments that she makes, some of the comments she makes are very relevant. But to me, it's this missing, why the whole things in the whole Nicola Bulley case that keep us mystified, or keep us talking about it when everybody's telling us we shouldn't talk about it. It's the mysteries, the things that weren't said, the questions that weren't asked at the inquest, the way we were directed into us. The inquest, really, the more and more that I think about it, it's just a complete setup, sort of focusing towards a particular narrative. It wasn't an inquest. It was an inquest, surely, is where questions are asked. Inquest, to ask questions to ascertain the cause of death. That is what an inquest is for. And really, I think, although, yes, the cause of death was ascertained, but so many questions that weren't asked. So many questions that weren't asked. And that's why everyone is still thinking about it, questioning it. So many things don't add up. I'm almost tired of saying it. So, you do, in the end, you feel tired. You feel like, why am I saying this out into the wilderness? Except I do know that a lot of you all agree with me. But, because of the fact that Nicola's family want to move on, it makes it difficult, doesn't it? It does make it difficult. Because unless there's something we just don't know, it doesn't seem like they want to take it any further. They're happy with the questions that were asked. Maybe they know more, maybe there's more to it than we know. But anyway, just what I wanted to look at today in today's video was this, the welfare check. To me, it's the crux of whatever happened to her. And then the visit to A&E the next day is another thing that needs explaining. Who drove her there? What were the results of the scan? Did she slip on, as Nadia Fels said in some post that she made, that Nicola slipped on water from the dog? Now, I know you can do that. Recently, a niece of mine, she slipped in water from the dog, but she fell on her face and she cracked her nose. I know you can do that. It just seems a bit of a coincidence of it all happening at once. That's the other thing. Now, was the fall the following day? If she had a fall, and that's the reason why she had to go to A&E, Was that because of the night before, whatever had happened the night before? Had she had too much to drink? Had she taken too many tablets? Had she been given tablets? You know, it's an investigation to me that needs to be done. Along with the man in black and the screens, you know, do you think it almost feels like a deliberate thing that if we have to repeat this often and often, you know, over and over again, that in the end we're just going to get sick of ourselves saying it? So anyway, first of all, before I start into the looking through what Mickey had to say and commenting, I just want to say thank you, as always. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. Thank you to my members. You know, we've built up a really nice community on the membership. Our members only lives are on a Thursday evening. And if you want to participate in those, or if you want to watch the unedited versions on the members section of the videos, you can do so. It's €1.99 a month, cancelable anytime. And also for that, you get to read my developing crime novel as I'm writing it. So more or less every week I release a new part of it, and it is developing. You know, even I don't know exactly how it's going to end. So that's quite interesting. It, you know, may be of interest to you. So that's what you can do if you want to become a member. Also, people have sent me Ko-fis, people have sent me supers, etc. Thank you so much for that. Any way that you've helped to support my channel, thank you so much. Okay, so let's have a look at this. The 10th. This is, to me, the absolute crux of what happened to Nicola Bulley. Now, should we accept, what do you tell me what you think? Like Mickey has done an analysis of January the 10th. And, you know, this was after the update from the IOPC, which I did a video on that. The Nicola Bulley playlist will be in the description box if you want to catch up on videos. You know, they released their statement finding no further action, lessons to be learned, you know, like they do, and nothing was thought of that needed to be done, even though the policeman who attended, I don't know if this is he's Riley, he's Costello. Even though the policeman attended apparently forgot to turn on his body cam. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So what we know about January the 10th. What do we know about January the 10th? Because of course we don't know all the details, do we? But what we do know is that, and Mickey's put this together very well, a team consisting of a police officer, a paramedic and mental health staff, officially known as a Synergy team, an emergency mental health response vehicle, was called to Nicola's home at 7:30 p.m. on January the 10th of 2023. According to the inquest, the welfare call was made by Nicola's sister, Louise. Now that surprised everyone. You know, I personally thought Paul had probably rang the ambulance, or the creators said the neighbour had called us, you know. And I think it was a surprise to everybody when it turned out that the welfare call was made by Nicola's sister, Louise. The family, they use this euphemism, the family, often, and we never really know who they mean by the family. Do they mean Nicola's mum and dad, Ernie and Dot, and Louise? Do they just mean Louise? Do they mean Paul? Who do they mean? So the family was concerned with her increased alcohol use and the impression she didn't want to be here. The "didn't want to be here" comment was apparently overheard by Nicola's children and seemingly reported to Louise by Paul, as Louise said at the inquest that she could not recall Nicola ever making comments to that effect or regarding suicide generally to her. Now, The thing is, I know from personal experience from a friend of mine whose brother deleted himself, and he had made that exact comment just a few days before. I don't want to be here. But you know, the thing is, what do people, when people say things like that, did she mean I don't want to be here in this house? I don't want to be here in this relationship? Or did she mean she didn't want to be here on this earth? You know, we just will never know probably exactly what she meant. So, attending health clinician Teresa Levy testified at the inquest that Nicola appeared intoxicated but appropriately dressed, and repeatedly stated she didn't know how she had gotten like this. Nicola also stated that she had lost weight due to her alcohol use. I wonder if she was making a joke. This is Mickey's comment. I wonder if she was making a joke in saying this, as in, well, it's helped me lose weight. Anyway, I don't know about that. Nicola also said she was tired and wanted to go to sleep. Do you know, it sounds to me more like, you know, drugs than alcohol. But anyway, we'll see. Louise stated at the inquest that she thought January the 10th was a bit of a wake-up call for Nicola, and she started to get back to normal after that. She also said that Nicola was fuming about the welfare call, and she thought Louise had overreacted in making the call. And then the head injury is barely mentioned at the inquest. This is what surprises me. Levy says it was recommended Nicola see the doctor on the 11th. Why? What of the head injury was discussed that night? Was it discussed that night? I thought she fell the next day. Do you know, this is it? We don't know. Nicola's GP, Dr. Gray, stated at the inquest that Nicola attended a walk-in clinic on January the 11th due to an injury to the back of the head after a fall. And to be honest, I don't remember reading about that when I was, you know, we were watching the inquest live, or we were watching the updates live on the inquest. And had apparently complained of dizziness and vomiting. She was then sent to A&E and received a CT scan, which came back normal. So this was on the 11th. So, do you know? Anyway, Levy said she was unable to make a judgment about Nicola's mental health on January the 10th, but she was confident that Nicola didn't need immediate further assistance. Now, how could she be unable to make a judgment about her mental health, and why were no blood tests given? Anyway, mentions of January the 10th during the search. This is the other thing. It's important to remember that January the 10th was not mentioned to the press at all by partner, family, or friends during the search. Paul described Nicola, remember, in his interview as a rock, the rock of the family. You know, she was like, gosh, you know, then it turned out she was actually a sort of, you know, alcoholic menopausal wreck, according to what they said later about her. So in his interview, he described her in a completely different way, and nobody during all that time mentioned that welfare call. We didn't find out about that, did we, for quite a while. More than that, her father actually suggested in newspaper interviews that Nicola did not have any health or mental health issues prior to going missing, and her sister and mother did not go against that publicly. Her father stated she's done this 1,000 times, dropped her daughters at school and walked Willow in the fields. And in newspaper interviews, her father said her mind was great. They said the disappearance of the 45-year-old mum from Inskip in Lancashire was totally out of character. Ernest saying she had no health problems and was in good spirits, enjoying her job. Recalling their last conversation, he said, her mind was great. We picked the children up on the Thursday before she went missing, as we do every Thursday. We took them home. Nicola had a meeting with her boss in Garstang, and she said, can you stay a bit longer because I have an important client coming in on Zoom? We said no problem and stayed. Well, of course, we don't know anything about her boss or this important client. And then she was supposed to have this mortgage, wasn't she? And, you know, again, we don't know all the details, but then we're told not to speculate. She had done her work and she was very upbeat about getting her mortgage sorted. So they often talk about her mortgage. Do they mean her mortgage? You know, is this a mortgage she was organising for someone else, or was she planning on leaving PA? Was she? We don't know, do we? We have no sort of proof one way or another, do we? Anyway, I said we better go now, and Nicola came to the front door. I gave her a kiss and told her I loved her. And that was the last conversation I had with her. Very sad. In the Sky TV interview, which I'm going to show you in a moment, her sister seemed to want to emphasise the fact that we all had to keep an open mind. With the same refrain as Nicola's partner, there was no evidence of any particular scenario. But bearing in mind at that time, and I totally agree with Mickey here, she did know about January the 10th. She said there's no evidence of any scenario, but there was, you know, Nicola had this, well, I say, you can't even say it was a little problem. It was a problem big enough that she felt she had to call out a mental health team. That's a big problem. You know, normally when your sister or any of your family is a bit worse for the wear for drink, had a bit too much to drink, you just try and get them to go to bed, don't you? You don't ring an ambulance and try and get them sectioned. You know, that's, to me, that seemed very, very strange. It must have been really quite bad for you to do that, you know. And I'm talking as a family. I come from a family where, you know, a lot of my relatives drink lots. You know, not necessarily. I'm not saying they're alcoholics, but you know, they like a drink. You know, nobody has ever. Do you know, the only person I know that has ever phoned an ambulance for someone, and then it wasn't my family actually, but it was because they had actually made an attempt to delete themselves, not just because they were drunk and they were saying daft things, or, you know. So this seems a very extreme thing to me to do, and always has since we first heard of it, to ring an ambulance for someone just because they've had too much to drink. And maybe they said, oh, I don't want to be here. But had she actually, this makes me wonder, had she actually said she was going to do something? You know, because why would you phone an ambulance? Surely that's the only time that you would phone an ambulance, isn't it? Is when, sorry for laughing because my dog just nearly choked on the stairs. And not that that's funny either, but it's just because that when I'm in the middle of a video, something always happens. So yeah, it's an extreme thing to do, isn't it? To phone an ambulance just because your sister's drunk, you know. Seems like there's more to it. And if it's a one-off, you know, it's the first time it's ever happened. If it's like the culmination of lots of different times and maybe an attempt at self-deletion, or, you know, you just don't, then yes, you can see it. But just a one-off, being drunk, saying I don't really want to be here, and you phone an ambulance, I think there's got to be more to it than that, I think. Got to be a lot more to it than that. So, having possessed knowledge of January the 10th, according to inquest testimony, she is the one who placed the welfare call. So, it's a strange thing to say. So, no, she wasn't necessarily suggesting foul play, but just that Nicola might not have gone into the river accidentally or on purpose. Keep an open mind. So we get a bigger hint about January the 10th when her sister suggests that Nicola might have taken herself off for whatever reason. And later in the interview, she makes a plea of, if you're out there, that to me is significant. But for her sister to suggest that we had to keep an open mind about every scenario has stuck with me. This is Mickey speaking. It feels as if someone else was trying to push that narrative have vanished. It's just impossible. We have no idea, etc., onto her, especially since the idea of placing the welfare call was pushed onto her. If you knew about January the 10th, which she did, surely you have some idea what could have happened to Nicola. You know, if that had happened, you know, if a member of your family had an issue so great that you had phoned an ambulance, then yeah, you might have an idea what had happened to her. And the same goes for the person who apparently asked Louise to make the welfare call on the 10th. So basically, was it Louise who made the call, but it was Paul who asked her to do it? I mean, I don't know. Nicola's father, I feel, was more open to the prospect of foul play. He said to media that he thought someone might have taken her. To me, this suggests that he might not have known about January the 10th at all. Well, he may not, because quite often you don't tell your parents things, do you? Whatever age you are. You know, if you don't want your parents to worry about you, and, you know, there's loads of things my mum and dad never got to know about me, you know, various things. So, because I wouldn't want them to be worried. So it's possible that they never knew about it. Now, there is something from the very first time that I watched this interview, there was something that struck me that I'm going to mention when we look at this in a minute. And, you know, I don't know if it's significant or not, and it's just something I'm going to point out. Anyway, we can't know that for a fact, but all of her father's comments taken together, it seems to me he was less convinced that the disappearance had something to do with Nicola's mental state. Again, who was influencing him in these early days? What was being said or not being said about January the 10th, drinking habits, HRT medication, etc., for him to think that foul play was a bigger possibility? And, you know, just look at Dot's face, I mean, she looks anguished, doesn't she? You know, it's... Anyway, let's have a look at this.
I just can't, if I'm being honest, it feels like I'm just stuck in a nightmare. We're going round and round in circles trying to piece together what could have possibly happened. And we've just got to keep such an open mind with everything, because we just have no idea where she is. It's like she's just vanished into thin air. There's no...
Now, Louise is... I mean, I'm sure she's in shock, but her eyes, she looks almost happy.
Evidence to point us in any direction. Obviously, my hope is that she's still out there. Something's happened and she's, I don't know, needed to take herself off for whatever reason. And we just want a home. We need her home. Her children need a home. It's just absolutely.
So again, no direct appeal to the camera until the end, but also no tears.
Absolutely heartbreaking.
Only for you, what's the last week been like as a father?
It's been very difficult. As from last Friday morning to date, it's just been so painful. We're such a close-knit family. We talk to each other, both our children.
Yeah, now this is what struck me from day one. I mean, right back in January when I watched this. When he says we're such a close-knit family, but he actually shakes his head. We're such a close-knit family. And watch again in a minute.
Children, Louise and Nicola, and the children every day. There's not a...
And he calls Nicola Louise.
Day goes by without talking to them. And this has just emptied our lives at the minute. We just feel so empty.
Wow.
You know, we appreciate everything that everyone's doing to find her. The police have been brilliant. The local community has been outstanding. And it's just comforting from that point of view. But at the end of the day, we just want her back.
On that point, you know, the community...
His eyes are different from Louise's, you know, just you can see the anguish in his eyes. I don't think Louise looks anguished. I'm not saying that means that Louise did anything, But is there a little bit of jealousy there?
Spirit has been unbelievable in a very small village. How much has that helped you, knowing that people have come from far and wide to help look for your daughter?
Massive. It's been massive. We've really appreciated it, and everyone that's been involved doing the sweep search of the fields, etc. It's just given us hope that someone might find something that could give us that little clue to what might have happened.
We just need something. We're nearly a week on tomorrow, and we're just going around in circles. It's like something's got to have been missed. There's got to be, somebody must know something. Somebody must know. People don't just vanish into thin air. There's got to be somebody that knows something. And all we are asking, no matter how small or big, if there's...
I think Ernie's face is telling, but anyway.
anything that you can remember that just doesn't seem right, then please reach out to the police. Please just get in touch and get my sister back.
I was going to ask you that, Lou. What is it you want to say to people watching this, wherever they're sat, wherever they're watching from, on their phones, on their tellies? What do you want to say to people in order to...
You know, maybe she's just a sort of different sort of person to me. I don't know, but she looks very calm.
To help you.
Well, just if anybody knows anything, just let us know. Just Nikki, if you're bloody out there, just let us know that.
Yeah, then she does this really weird sort of laugh, which I know can be nerves at the end of the day. Sometimes when you're in shock,
you're okay. We can sort anything out. We just want you home.
We can sort anything out.
Want you home.
Yeah, my approach to this is that for the public to search their minds or anything that they might have seen, doesn't matter how significant it is. If it's something that I think might not be interesting, it could be.
Yeah, so of course this was at the
and
time when
inform
they
the
were
police.
asking for the public's help. Yeah, they asked for the public's help until people started thinking that PA might have been involved somehow. That's when, you know...
That they've waiting for their mummy to come back.
That's interesting. He called her Nicola, wasn't it? And then they were said at the inquest that she was known as Nikki. But that's her dad there calling her Nicola.
And we feel that we want to back, obviously, also. But, you know, if Nicola is out there, if she is watching this, then all we'd like to say is just come home, contact the police,
Yeah, none of the others said, oh, if you're watching this, or, you know, remember Paul never made a direct appeal to the camera or anything. I think in Paul's interview, it was clear that he either thought, if he didn't know what had happened to her, he thought she wasn't coming back.
ourselves. And we just want you back.
One thing on covering this story and speaking to people right at the very heart of it, and everyone harks back to this, is that there are two beautiful girls at home, Nikki's kids. You know, how difficult is that, knowing that the daughters...
I think Dot looks like she's dying to say something. I wonder why she didn't really say anything. She seems like she's, you know, so sweet. It's like she wants to say something, but she looks more concerned, you know, about how Ernie's feeling.
are there without a mum.
It was just, obviously
Maybe she didn't feel she could trust herself to speak because she does look like she's going to cry.
their little minds are trying to process. They don't really understand. None of us understand, to be honest. But we've just got to try, and when there's children involved, you have to carry on. You've got to get through every day, and that's all we're trying to do.
But they know Mum is missing. that they know that she's going to be coming home. And this is, everyone's looking for her.
Yeah, they must be going through hell now. The parents, you know, it didn't look like Louise and PA were going through hell, did it? When they went and had their picture taken at that mural, and they looked sort of so happy. And you know, I shouldn't say that, because you know I don't know how they're feeling, but you know, Dot and Ernie. Well, the grandkids will be keeping them going, I suppose.
So it's only a matter of time that they're thinking in their minds that she's going to walk through that door.
Oh yeah, Dot is crying.
What happened on Friday morning was started off as what seemed to be Nikki's, you know, daily routine. Really, dropping the kids off at school, taking Willow for a walk. It all seemed quite normal. How do you feel about the fact that this has happened, and it isn't Nikki in a way, if you get what I mean? It's not her. It's not normal Nikki.
No.
What's happened? How does that make you feel?
Well, we just haven't got any answers, have
No,
we? We just don't know.
She's done this 1,000 times. Drops the children off from school. A beloved dog, Willow. She loves it to bits, that dog. She'd do anything for the animal. She parks the car in the school car park, walks across past St Michael's Church, through that little lane, up to the open field, and that's where she does it every day in, day out. There may be days where she misses, but if it's not her, it's Paul. And it all revolves around the point that they've dropped the children off at the school. But it's just routine. And, you know, we're just baffled by it. Just baffled.
The police only have said that, you know, they're keeping an open mind about what's happened here. Is that easy to do? Is it difficult to keep an open mind, you know, when there's speculation and everything? How tough is that?
Yeah, well, we're trying to be quite honest with you. We're trying not to get too involved in what people are saying, because nobody knows anything, do they? So, and that's what we really want to say today, is don't get blindsided that this has definitely happened, or, you know, we need to keep an open mind. Could be anything, because there's no evidence to point any other way, and get my sister home.
We'll just end on a final note from you all. And how important is it that this message is out there, that people listen, that they give any information that they possibly can to help get your sister, to help get your daughter back home? How crucial is it?
Well,
It's the only thing we're holding on to.
we're holding on to this as not our last hope, but this is going to reach out to millions of people. And we're just hoping that from this interview that something may come of it, which will spark a light, and it will lead to us finding our daughter.
How much are you missing her?
Oh, don't.
He gets really quite upset now, Ernie.
It's hard.
Oh.
It's hard. We're such a close-knit family. We are a close-knit family, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was what struck me back at the time when he said, we're such a close-knit family, we are. You know, it was like, it's like a double endorsement, we're a close-knit family, we are. I do remember noticing that. I'm not saying not a close-knit family, just pointing out something that struck me way back in February, I think it was, when they made this appeal. It was, we're a close-knit family, we are. And I hadn't started to think anything yet about what might have happened. I literally hadn't. I was just watching, like everybody else, the news, etc. I don't think Paul had done his interview yet. I didn't have any thoughts on it, but I did notice that. Let me just
We're such a close-knit family. We are a close-knit family, I'm sorry. But we're such a close-knit family. We do anything for
and
any
Louise
one of us.
looked a little bit sort of sheepish. You know, maybe I'm reading.
We're such a close-knit family. We do anything for any one of us, and the children will do the same for us. We're getting on in life, and you know, the grandchildren and our own children are more important to us as we're getting older. So, yeah, just hope she comes home.
Okay, so that was that. So I'll be interested to hear your thoughts. Now, going back to, how do I get back now to, Mickey's? Don't know how to get back to Mickey's thing now. I might have to go back to it another way. Why can't I go back to it just like that? Okay, right, I need to just go back and share again. Okay, so January the 10th was also not mentioned by Superintendent Sally Riley in her press interviews or any of her press conferences. Thank you to Naya for pointing this out on Twitter. When asked about health issues and medication by a reporter at the February the 3rd press conference, the same day as the Skippool Creek forensic search, there's a lot. I've not looked into the Skippool Creek forensic search. A lot of you have mentioned it to me. I mean, it's difficult to get the proper information about it, but anyway, the first Fitbit mention and the corrected clothing description, Riley shook her head before the reporter had even finished asking his question. I noticed that a couple of times about Sally. There was a thought in her head of what had happened, and she never deviated from that. And she said, we're not considering, clearly we've considered the whole picture, but that is not relevant at this time, no. And then Mickey provides this clip.
We're not considering.
So as they're actually asking the question, she's shaking her head.
Clearly considered the whole picture, but that is not relevant at this time, no, not at all.
She looks a bit like the rabbit in the headlights, doesn't she, Sally? She's yes, no, no.
So Nicola was last seen by a witness at 9:10, and the phone was back on the bench at 9:20 or thereabouts, yes. Yeah, all of the timeline details, what the police have been doing every day, what we're intending to do over the next few days is all relayed to the family so that they're kept updated and they're aware. Yeah.
Why would you imagine that she didn't have a phone in her hand or in a pocket when she fell?
The dog was off the lead. This was normal for the dog to run about, and Nicola was on a Teams call, which again, it would be normal for her not necessarily to participate in actively and just to have the phone to listen in effectively. You do, but anything could have happened with the dog whereby Nicola may have gone, and I don't wish to speculate in that we don't know, but it is possible as the dog was loose and off the lead.
I don't wish to speculate, but then she goes on to speculate. It's all speculation.
That there may have been an issue with the dog that led her to go near to the water's edge.
So she already thought that was what they were already thinking.
And Nicola may have fallen in. So that is a possibility.
The dog was dry.
The dog was dry, yes. Hello. Yes. Yes.
Was there any chance the dog was itself coming in the river, or did the river just hold it?
We don't believe the dog was in the river because the dog, we believe, was dry, and the witnesses who are part of the timeline that I've laid out have not described the dog, for example, swimming in the river or jumping into the river. So we assume the dog didn't get into the river, but we don't know why Nicola may have entered the water if she did.
And how long will be?
Well, she was soon turfed off this case, wasn't she? And the big guns were brought in with Rebecca.
Well, clearly,
A big sigh and a gulp there. She is out of her depth. She hasn't got a clue, really.
A kilometre stretch of river is long, and therefore, our partners continue to assist us in that. So there are lots of things that we'll be doing over the weekend in terms of water, surface and riverbank searching, and our partners will be working with us into next week, but it's too early to say at this stage how long it will be. I'm going to take one more question, if I may, from someone who hasn't yet answered ask the question. Thank you. This is a large rural area with a long stretch of river. All I can say is that we are doing absolutely everything possible. We are working tirelessly, long hours, with a very large team of both plainclothes and specialist uniformed officers to try and do everything we can to bring Nicola home to her family. But
Okay. I can't even listen to that anymore. I've just about had enough of listening to all this rubbish. Anyway, so January the 10th was first mentioned sort of when Mark Williams Thomas alluded to it in television interviews. So a lot of people, I heard, again, speculation, everything's speculation, that the reason that the police came out and said what Nicola's problems were was that this guy was going to take it to the press anyway. So how true that is, I don't know. Then she recommends you to watch Irish Eyes videos. Mark Williams Thomas said on February the 16th he had told the police the following on the morning of February the 15th. Listen, I've got information that something has gone on within the family environment, that there have been emergency services at the address. What are you going to do about this? Can you confirm if this is true or not? It was clear for me for many months ago from Mark William Thomas, or whatever he's called, Twitter. He has since deleted certain tweets about it, that he was the one responsible for forcing the police's hand at the press conference. I don't know who Christine LeBrock is, so I don't get involved in trolling and trolls and things, so I'm not going to mention that. But where did he get the information from? Was it from the family? So he went on to say, it's amazing the amount of people who've provided me with information over the last 48 hours, telling me exactly what her state of mind was and what was going on. And then you can go and watch those videos if you like. You know, I would recommend you to, I mean, I don't go into other creators' videos, etc. on my channel normally, so, you know, I'm not going to change that here. But I'll put a link to Mickey's newsletter, Mickey's blog, in the description box, and you can go and look at all those things. So who, pray tell, were the people who told Mark Williams Thomas these things, and why was none of this mentioned by anyone before February the 15th? Were the multiple friends who made dozens of media appearances all instructed by the police not to mention vulnerabilities? Nobody mentioned these. Oh, she was, you know, remember Emma's comments, you know, or you just take the magic that is Nikki and the magic that's Paul, and you mix it all together and you get these two beautiful girls. You know, the thing is, nobody is perfect, you know, and this does tend to happen, of course, when people go missing or if they die. You know, nobody wants to speak ill of the dead, do they, or the missing or whatever, but, you know, we're all frail, you know, we've all got human frailties. You know, nobody is like this perfect, you know, person. Nobody is. So but it's what people tend to say, isn't it? They wouldn't want to mention these things maybe because they don't like to speak ill of the missing. Respect for Nicola. But, you know, at the end of the day, in a situation like this, it's important to the fact that she's missing. So, well, they said that I think they did say that they did claim her as high risk, but I don't know if they actually did. Anyway, so my question, my own personal question is, why nothing was made of this? At the end of the day, when a missing person, or a person, you know, where the police are called out, an ambulance is called out, and then within not that many days they're dead, that is you know, there should be a big investigation about this. And these questions were not asked at the inquest. And yeah, Nadia fell, another weird coincidental name. Nadia fell. Nicola supposedly fell into the river. So yes, I mean, you know, slipping in the dog's water is probably a common thing that victims of domestic violence say. You know, what, look, I can feel myself, I'm just, as I'm getting to the end of this video, as always, I get very down about it all, because I just feel I'm calling out into the wild, you know. I mean, it's only because of you lovely people who I know agree with me on a lot of things and feel the same way that I even keep going. Because sometimes I just think, what am I doing it for you? You know, this is a situation, it's like nobody cared. But because when it comes to the point that the family don't want to take it further, where can you go? I mean, if the family are out there saying, oh, we demand an investigation, we want to know who the man in black was, we want to know what these screens were, we want to know why she had to go to A&E for a head injury and why this, why that. If the family aren't doing that, it's very difficult to do it. It's very difficult, because then everybody hates you. Well, not everybody, but you know, I know I'll get trolled with this video. I get trolled any Nicola Bully video that I make, you know, and I don't get trolled with other videos. So that just tells you everything, really. What is it? You know, just because you're asking questions, you know, you're not sure, because it's not clear and you're not sure, and you're actually doing it for Nicola, because not because you're trying to stir things up or you're trying to say nasty things about anyone. You're genuinely concerned that something is wrong, that some sort, you know, we are Nicola's voice, but her family should be her voice. Yeah. And then apparently Anne-Marie Fletcher said when she phoned him on January the 27th, PA's first comment was, she's struggling. And then later when he called them, he will have explained to them the situation then, but that was never mentioned. Yeah. Yeah, and if you go to this site, you can sign the petition to reopen the investigation into Nicola's death. I think I've already signed this. But anyway, I will have a look at it and make sure it's the one that I've signed. Yeah, I know. So it's got 5,708 signatures. I can't believe it's only got that many. I've had more views on my videos than that. About yeah, oh, hang on, no, I haven't signed it. I thought I had signed it. It's in Spanish, yeah. And it asks you, no. I have definitely signed this, definitely. I wouldn't advise you to pay any money towards it, definitely not. Because I don't know where the money goes. I've said all this before. I have definitely signed this petition before. Right, I do continue. I can't share right now. Oh, it's gone on to a Peter Folding. What the hell's that? Anyway, there you go. There's a petition for Peter Folding. Oh, gosh, I've just got to remember I'm... Anyway, I nearly switched the whole thing off then. So, yes, I will share this. I honestly, I just don't know what to say. I feel a bit down about it all, to be honest. You know, I was seriously thinking, what, you know, why am I even continuing to do videos on this? If the family's not interested, what's the point? Anyway, I can feel myself getting upset. I'm sorry. So remember, so let me know what you think. As always, go over to Mickey's blog. subscribe, have a look at some of the links and things and sign the petition, but I don't think it makes any difference whatsoever, to be honest. I can't believe that I've got to that point, but I am feeling a little bit like that today. So anyway, remember to always live and love very carefully. Look after you, because you are the most important one. Who else is going to look after you? Because, you know, God, if your own family don't want to look after you, then who else is going to look after you? And I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Bye.